Hi, I'm Tim Albert with Westmor Industries. I'm the Eastern Regional Sales Manager. Today I'm going to talk about integrating back office software with your truck. I'd like to start out by thanking some folks who made this presentation possible today. Most importantly, Mandy Carlberg, Mike Hennon, Stuart Strage, Fred Lemke, Sonny Burris, Michael Zavotny, and Jason Sulon. I want to discuss integrating of back office software along with considerations when installing hardware. The main objective here is to discuss items needed when installing in-cab solutions with back office software, and essentially four main areas, each of which I will explain in further detail. The overall goal is a smooth transition during the installation. The four main areas I'd like to address today are software, hardware, meter register, and chassis. The learning outcome here is to identify possible installation challenges with meter to office communication. I have created a customer checklist that should be presented to the propane marketer at time of sale. With the integration checklist, there are over 25 considerations: understanding makes and models being used, clarity on who is supplying what, and contact information for the integration process. Here I have the back office integration checklist. This will be supplied to the marketer at time of sale to go over some very important questions so that when it goes time to install the back office software and the hardware in the truck, that everything is clearly illustrated and all the questions are answered. Some of the questions I will go over. Will backroom software be used? The backroom software manufacturer. This is very imperative to have the contact information for not only the backroom software, but also for your customer's IT department, because both of these will work in conjunction to make the end solution go a little bit smoother. Make and model of the device being used. There's different power requirements. Power supply for the 12 volt provided for dock or device. Is the customer supplying the dock? Are we supplying the dock? Username and passwords for the different hardware. Computer username and password. It's great if the installation takes place, but if you don't know how to get into said device, then you're going to be calling the phone numbers where you could have previously asked for. Software program. Username or truck ID. There's all sorts of usernames, truck IDs to get into the device that you're trying to either program or test with use on the propane truck. There's different cables and adapters, which is part of the hardware segment. Customer supplied communication cables, hardware adapter. Type of printer required. As I touched earlier, there's several types of printers: slip, roll, blaster, other. Is the customer supplying the printer? Customer supplied printer power supply for 12 volt. Customer supplied communication cables. These questions can be formatted or changed, but it's good to have the marketer understand exactly what you're asking for and why you're asking the questions. What type of cable is required? Customer supplied stand and mounting hardware. This goes into all the different things that you're going to ask the marketer for so that you know who is supplying what. We get into the chassis. Who is the manufacturer of the chassis? Is it a P337, KWT880? Is the chassis manual or automatic? Type of seats in the cab. This will certainly impact where you're mounting different components, whether it be a pedestal, how you're going to run your wirings, things like that. Does the chassis currently have a center console? That's something you'll have to work around. If it's something like a homemade console, you'll have to take that out prior to the installation. Different manufacturers of registers. The LCR2, TCS 3000, E-Count, E4000, LCR 600, and the IQ system. Current model and software versions. Ticket format. What's the software version of the current register? There are times where different handheld devices or computer systems will require a certain register software. If it's an older register, the software may have to possibly be updated, or it may in turn have to be upgraded to a newer software. Ticket type and format. Special settings required by the customer. There's a certain meter number. This is when you get into the programming of the electronic register. Some require different programming components that need to put in there. That is something that we would do at time of installation. Any other additional notes that will be helpful to the installation. Certain things to work around is important to notate there so that you know. And you might even make a note here that it would be helpful if the customer already has a previous installation, if they could supply maybe some pictures of previous installation. Again, so that there's clear understanding of how these components are to be mounted and essentially who's supplying what. The software, there's several software companies out there. that integrate both truck software as well as back office software. Some to name a few are Ad Systems, CarGas, FRAM, Digital Dispatcher. Along with the software on the back end is the physical software in the cab: QuickBooks, Sage Intacct, Dynamics, or Microsoft.